Every shoe you own is hiding the same secret. None were invented on purpose. Each one was forced into existence by a plan that failed. This is the evolution of shoes. Ice Age humans in the high desert weren't trying to invent footwear. They needed to survive one brutal winter. Bare feet couldn't take the frozen ground, so they wrapped them in sagebrush, never expecting that quick fix to outlast their civilization. That wrap kept feet alive, but not warm enough for the harshest climates on Earth. So one traveler in the Alps pushed further, layering bearskin, deer hide, and grass insulation into the first shoe built like a system, not a wrap. Cold feet were solved, but once nobody died from frostbite, a new fight began, against each other. Egyptian sandals were cheap enough for anyone, proving nothing about status. So pharaohs turned woven papyrus into a rank few could afford. That link between shoes and power obsessed one empire conquering the world on foot. Rome's legions marched in stitched leather. It split on stony roads within days, so suppliers studded the soles with iron hobnails instead. For 1,000 years after Rome fell, that formula worked fine, until nobles stopped caring whether a shoe worked. They wanted difference, so shoe points grew longer in a status race, until they had to tie the tips to their knees just to walk. One king turned that same impulse into law. Louis XIV wanted to be seen as Europe's most powerful man, but crowns were fixed by birth, not fashion. So he reserved red heels for the aristocracy. And that privilege wasn't fixed either. He could take it away overnight, and a courtier's fortune could collapse the moment the king looked away. So how long could a hierarchy that fragile actually survive? A century later, the obstacle wasn't taste, it was speed. Shoemakers wanted to keep up with a booming population, but hand-stitching one pair took a full day, until mechanized stitching let one factory outproduce a whole city. Not very long, that fragile status a king could switch on and off is exactly what mass production quietly destroyed. Once a machine could stitch a decent shoe for anyone, status stopped being something a monarch controlled and became something you could simply buy. One problem remained. Leather soles still slipped and echoed on hard floors. So manufacturers glued rubber to canvas instead. Soles so quiet, people called them sneakers. Quiet soles mattered indoors, but one shoemaker wanted proof his spikes could win on sport's biggest stage. He handed a pair to an American sprinter competing on Hitler's home turf. And 4 gold medals later, a shoe had changed the result, not just the comfort. Spikes worked for sprinting, but distance runners needed something else. A track coach wanted better grip without adding weight. So he poured rubber into his wife's waffle iron to test a new tread. One ruined iron later, modern running traction was born. Running had solved traction. Basketball was about to prove a shoe could break its own league's rules, or at least look like it did. When a rookie's black and red sneakers violated the NBA's uniform code, the league sent an official warning letter, and Nike turned that warning into the most famous marketing story in sneaker history. By the 2000s, the industry had conquered speed, grip, and hype, not waste. Cutting dozens of panels left scraps behind, so engineers began knitting whole uppers from one piece of yarn. That knitted shoe already looks nothing like the sagebrush wrap it descended from. Speculating on what lies ahead, the next plan to fail won't be about materials, it will be about size itself. Even a perfect print can't fix a bad stride, so the next generation may sense posture directly, reshaping mid-step before pain registers. Eventually, materials may stop being manufactured at all. Shoes grown from living tissue, healing scuffs and wear the same way skin closes a cut. Every shoe in this story exists because an earlier one failed, so whatever's on your feet is really just tonight's unfinished attempt. Check out the washing clothes video for more.